Hey guys, I hope you guys are all doing okay and really getting the hang of this online learning stuff. I thought this week I would do two different videos. One is going to be on mitosis, which is this one, and then one later in the week that you'll watch is on meiosis. So the topics we're going to be talking about this week are cell division, and like I mentioned, mitosis and meiosis. This is going to lead us into the rest of genetics and Punnett squares and all that fun stuff. That's my favorite stuff to do. But until then, we are going to do some notes today. So while I am talking, it would be best if you could jot some things down, even if you just jot words down and then make your doodle notes after that, or your typed notes or whatever notes that you want to do. A lot of you guys have been submitting doodle notes, which have been great, and I've enjoyed seeing them because typically I don't get to see your notes. I don't collect your notes usually, so I haven't really been able to see them, but you guys are very talented. So I've been pleasantly surprised with all the work that you guys have been putting in and all the time you've been spending getting this stuff done, and I've been answering questions as quickly as I can, and I think that everything has been going really well, so hopefully you guys agree. But let's get into notes. All right. Let's see. All right, so like I said, these notes are mitosis and meiosis. We're going to talk first about mitosis and cell division. So pretty much cells divide because they don't need to get any bigger. So cells are perfectly sized for what they need to be sized for. And so because of this, that's why when cells start to get a little big, they divide. Okay. And so cells, you can think of cells just like cities. The bigger they are, the more food that they need, the more water they need, the more waste that they're going to make. And so it's going to be hard for things to move in and out freely. So you get these big traffic jams, kind of like when you go into Atlanta during rush hour. So cells divide rather than growing bigger to prevent these traffic jams, okay? And there's 4 reasons why a cell is going to divide. One of the reasons is to prevent the cell from becoming too big. The next one is to heal injuries. So if you're hurt and you need to heal, then that's one of the reasons. As well as to allow organisms to grow. So that's how you guys have gotten from little infants to big kids. And the 4th one is to reproduce, so to make new individuals. Before we start with the cell cycle, we need to talk about chromosomes. And we've talked a little bit about chromosomes before when we talked about DNA. You can see here it has the double helix. And so what chromosomes are little things that have DNA inside of them. So it's coiled up DNA. So if you could see here, here's your DNA and your double helix. And then if you kind of look, it's all wound up DNA that are making your chromosomes. But they carry all of your genetic information from one generation to another. And so as humans, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes, and so 46 total, but we have 23 pairs. And so you get one set from mom and one set from dad. And that's kind of what genetics is, and that's what we're going to be talking about over the next couple weeks. So the cell cycle, there are 3 parts to the cell cycle. So one part of that cell cycle is mitosis, which we're going to be talking more about. But the first part is mitosis, which is when the cells interphase, which is when the cells kind of hanging out, growing, and that's where they're going to spend most of their time. If you see by the graph, most of that time is spent in interphase. Then comes mitosis, is when the cell's actually dividing, and then cytokinesis is when the cell actually divides into 2. So during mitosis, you have your nucleus is going to divide, and then you have cytokinesis when the cytoplasm actually divides. So during interphase, now we're talking about interphase. We're not talking about mitosis or anything like that. We're talking about just interphase, the first step of the cell cycle. There's 3 stages that happen. So the first stage is growing, then the DNA duplicates, and it gets ready to divide. And so all of that happens during interphase. Okay, So instead of having 46 chromosomes, then you end up with 92 because everything is going to duplicate. They're going to end up dividing so that you get 2 cells with 46 chromosomes. All right, so pause for some questions. Which of the following is not a reason cells divide? Hopefully you answered D, to maintain homeostasis. All of those other ones, healing injuries, allowing organisms to grow, and reproducing, are all reasons why cells would divide. What will happen if the cell continued to grow rather than divide? Hopefully you said B, food and waste would not be able to move in and out as easily. What are the 3 stages of the cell cycle? Should be D, interphase, mitosis, and cytokinesis. Which of the following is not a stage during interphase? So interphase has 3 stages we talked about: growing, the DNA replicates, and then it prepares to divide. Mitosis is not a stage of interphase, so it should be D, mitosis. Growth is the G1 stage, DNA replicates during the S phase, and then the G2 phase is when the cell prepares to divide. Okay, so what is mitosis? The second stage of cell division is called mitosis, and it's when the cell's DNA is replicated, and the DNA can then divide and get 2 identical daughter cells. Okay, so this diagram shows a little bit about what happens. It's a very quick diagram, not a lot of detail, which is fine for right now. But you guys are going to see later on in the week some more detailed diagrams, and you guys are going to actually be making your own videos with some diagrams in it as well later on in the week. So there are 4 stages during mitosis. So prophase is first, metaphase is second, anaphase is third, and telophase is fourth. So telo is the end, pro is first. So you can think of prophase being first. And then a lot of times we use the mnemonic device, or PMAT, P-M-A-T, to remember the stages of meiosis. So PMAT, remember that. So in prophase, which is your first stage, your nucleus begins to disappear so that these chromosomes can be out. Because remember, we've talked about DNA before being able to come in and out, and DNA cannot leave the nucleus, and so that nuclear envelope has to develop, and the nucleus has to start to disappear. Centrioles start to separate. They're going to go from on one end of each part of the cell. Metaphase is the middle. Okay, so you can see those chromosomes, the nucleus has completely dissolved and the chromosomes are going to line up in the middle of the cell. Anaphase, the chromosomes move away from each other or apart. Okay, so away or apart, you can remember either one of those words. They both start with A, and that goes with anaphase. And then your last one is telophase. Should be telophase. Oops. There we go. Telophase. So telo is the end. Your nucleus comes back, the cytoplasm starts to separate, and that's when you get into the last phase of cell division, which is cytokinesis, and that's when the cell actually splits into 2 cells. The cytoplasm has to divide, and you get your 2 new daughter cells. All right, clicker questions.
Mom.
Yes, sir. Okay. Pause for a break.
Snails.
You found snails?
Yeah, this one will squash a little bit for me.
Oh, okay. Well, that's very cool.
You still like them?
Yeah, I do.
I'm going to put them outside.
That's a good place to put snails.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. All right, so clicker questions. I will pause for you guys to hopefully answer these. So mitosis creates. What does mitosis create? And you should answer B, 2 genetically identical cells. 4 stages of mitosis in order. What's that thing I told you to remember? PMAT. Okay, so which one of those is PMAT? Should be D. Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. The last stage, or the last phase of the cell cycle, where the cell cytoplasm divides to create 2 daughter cells, Should be A, cytokinesis. All right, this is where we are going to stop. And we will pick up with meiosis because that's going into our gametes and our body cells. And we will pick up with meiosis. I want to say that's Thursday of notes this week. I think Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember. But there'll be another video from me later on in the week. I'm actually going to record it now, but it's going to be 2 separate videos so you guys can watch them and not have to watch like a 20-minute video from me. You guys know how I like to hear myself talk, but you guys might not necessarily like to hear it. So anyways, I hope you guys are doing okay, really. I miss seeing you all, and I hope this video is helpful.